Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us in our meeting today. I'm really happy to be here and would like to share with you a new initiative, a new campaign that FSS is starting to help our dear friends, brothers and sisters most vulnerable in this moment of crisis that the planet passes, and specifically Calgary. So we have the fraternal COVID-19 support, and please join us. We have been releasing it through our social medias. It's an initiative to help those who need food, medication, or any kind of support at this time. The campaign doesn't stop only in the material help. We also give emotional, spiritual help. So if you're in need or you know anyone in need that we could help, please contact us. Here we have the information. You can either get in the website www.fsScalgary.ca/COVID-19 all together without dash, and you can either contact by mail or phone as well. So please join us. You're more than welcome to enjoy this campaign. Very well. I will read a text now for our harmonization before we start the meeting. And today we'll use a text from the book Daily Bread, Our Daily Bread, from the Spirit Emmanuel, psychography of Francisco Cândido Xavier. And we are gonna go to the chapter number 9, called People of Faith. Therefore, everyone who hears my words and practices them is like the wise man who built his house upon the rock. Jesus, Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 24. In the gallery of renewable people of the faith, great preachers of the gospel have always been constructed as being the greatest expression of Christianity. However, this has been the case only when the instruments of the truth have not in fact forgotten the watchfulness that's crucial for righteous testimony. In this, it is interesting to note that of all his disciples, the Master regards most highly those who listen to his teachings and actually put them into practice. From this, we may conclude that people of faith are not only those who prodigiously in words or enthusiasm, but those who also display attention and goodwill in the light of Jesus' teachings, studying their spiritual content in order to apply them in their daily endeavors. It is comforting to realize that all those involved in the field of evangelical service will progress toward the inner marvels of the faith. Still, we must at all times point out that the great worth of sensible persons who, upon hearing the teachings and counsels of the good tidings, carefully attended to the solutions of the problems of the day or circumstance, without allowing their individual achievements to take place apart from the indispensable Christian foundations. In all sorts of service, the help of spoken word is sacred and essential. However, in the lofty endeavor of self-betterment, learners must never forget the sublime value of keeping still at the right time, so that prudence may be heard within their soul, guiding their destiny. I would like to invite you all to pray. Let's close our eyes and feel this moment. Understand the gravity that supports us, the laws of the nature that connects us to this earth that we live in. Start to feel the natural laws that also connect us to our Father, to our brothers and sisters who are in the spiritual world, motivating us to find consolation, motivating us to find instruction, clarification, and most important, motivating us, stimulating us for the next step. Dear Father, please enlighten all our brothers and sisters following us today. Please enlighten our words. May they find hearts in need. May they find consolation to be set in these hearts. Dear Father, I would like also to invite you to spread through the city of Calgary, the province of Alberta, and the whole country of Canada, the fraternal love among the Spiritists, the fraternal love among the Christians, and all living beings. May we be together today and always, Father. So be it. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I would like to, first of all, call upon why we are here today. One important thing is the world we live in right now is a world changing drastically what we used to do not too long ago. And my question now is, how are you feeling? Is it a struggling time? Is it something that really is annoying you? If it is, please join me in this meeting today to find a little more consolation in all the struggles you're living in. Because Spiritism, above everything, has came to bring us clarity of what's going on. Also, I would like to invite you to think, if the world is changing, do you feel ready? Are you ready for this world calling us to change at this time? Well, if you don't, you're not alone, because many of our brothers and sisters among us are struggling to find at least why I'm here, why I'm living all this. So that motivated us to this special meeting today. For that, I would like to also call you, please, join us through our live. I am following here what's going on in our YouTube and our Facebook, so please join us. It's gonna be great if I can answer your questions or I can hear a little bit from you. So don't be shy, please join our meeting and participate. Most important. When you see the blue planet, it never stops its movement. How do you feel when you remember the words of Jesus? Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Our meeting is a little bit to tackle this important invitation of Jesus, this calling of Him upon us to change ourselves and develop the wonderful virtue of meekness. For those who don't know what meekness means, in Portuguese we call mansidão, and also there are some synonyms in English, but doesn't describe it in fully the word, which is calmness, tolerance, being always gentle or gentleness. So, why do we need this? Our objective today is to reflect about Earth's progression to a regenerative world, or a regenerated world. And what is our duty with this change? Do we have any duty? Are we being called to do anything or not? So I would like to bring a few reflections for you in this beginning of the meeting. Do you understand the moment the earth is passing through? Do you seek to understand how to behave during this transition time? Do you feel any responsibility that the transition brings to you? Is it an internal or external feeling? This responsibility is calling you inside or outside, or both. And finally, do you know where to seek reliable information about the transition? and I explain you why. During this transition time, we're seeing a lot of opportunists using the despair, the distrust of people to spread the seed of evil. And when I say the seed of evil, I'm not saying that necessarily they are massive killers or they are trying to do any harm specifically to your physical body. But as soon as we spread a word that is not relying on truth, we should think about if this word is not with truth, is it good or evil? And in the Spirit's book, Allan Kardec's very clear when he asks the spirits where the truth resides. And it is in the divine laws. And if anything is away from the divine laws, probably is not truth. And if this not truth, don't want to use the word lie, but this non-truth sometimes can create so much harm in our hearts. So with that said, where can we gather reliable information? Well, we are in a Spiritist center. And in the Spiritist society, one of its main tasks is to share the knowledge that came through Spiritism, to clarify the humankind, the society, the community about the knowledge the spirits brought us through this Spirit's doctrine or Spiritism. And there are 5 main books in the Spiritist doctrine. These 5 books is what we call the Spiritist codification. It's formed by the Spirit's book, the first one here. The second was the Medium's book. The third, the Gospel according to Spiritism. Then Heaven and Hell. And the last, the Genesis. And all these books, every single one of them, we can find reliable information about either Spiritism or the transition we are going through right now. And in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in the chapter 3, is a wonderful chapter to understand the transition of the worlds or the stage the worlds are living in. And there is a text called in there, "There are many dwellings in my Father's house," which is based in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verses 1 to 4, when Jesus says, "Do not let your hearts to be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. In that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. And in this important invitation of Jesus, when he says, my house, Father's house has many rooms, he is letting us know that earth is not the only room where humankind or the spirits have the chance to evolve. And in there, in the text, the different categories of inhabited worlds, we can find the descriptions of different worlds. The first one is our primitive worlds, intended for first incarnations of a human soul. The second, worlds of trial and expiation, where evil dominates. Then the regenerative worlds, where souls who still have something to expiate may absorb this new strength by resisting from fatigue of struggle. Then we have the happy worlds, where good overweights evil, and finally, heavenly and divine worlds, the habitation of purified spirits, where the good reigns completely. So with this clarification, we understand that there are transitions. A planet can start as primitive, pass through trial and expiation, regenerate itself, become a happy world, and finally a divine world. Well, the description sounds nice, but doesn't mean that's an easy process, migrate from one to another. And mainly because we struggle in the process of transition. Right now, as most of you know, we are passing through the transition from a trial and expiation world to a regenerative world, which is our aim, our goal for the next generations. It is important also to remind that no world will pass through one stage to another just with sitting and waiting it to come. We need to understand that the world is created by the beings incarnated there. And if we could cross a very simple diagram here, where we have a Gaussian curve or a normal curve, and say that this x is the time, and this is, pardon me, that's not time, moral evolvement. And the other x, we will call it population of the world. We will have in any world spirits incarnated with very little evolvement morally. we will have most of the beings incarnated in this planet with an average of morality. And we also will have incarnated beings in very lower quantity of more evolved beings. And as we could add another layer here on top of this, as the time passes, this curve will slowly, gradually move forward to moral evolvement. And the majority of the people incarnated in this planet will be among this level. So let's say in this level here, we are in trial and expiation. In this level here, when the average of the humankind incarnated here will be a regenerative world. Well, with this very quick explanation how it works, migration from one to another, we have to see ourselves as an important piece of this. Because if I am either a little point here, a little point here, or a little point here, my goal as living being, as immortal spirit, is to keep evolving, either incarnated or disincarnated. With that said, then, in this process of transition that we're seeing now, in the wonderful book of Genesis, in the chapter 18, we will find an important description of the time we're living in the text called "The Time Has Come." And it says this: "Indeed, humankind is being transformed just as it has been transformed in other epochs. And each transformation is marked by a turning point, which for the human species is what the turning point in growth is for individual. These crises, frequently painful and dolorous, carry generations and institutions along with them, but are always followed by a phase of material and moral progress." Well, with this first part of the text, we can see clearly what the Spirit's telling us here. All of us are in process of transformation. And each epoch, as we transit from one to another, will be marked by turning point or turning points. These crises, frequently painful and dolorous, will always be followed by a phase of material and moral progression. So what does it mean? The humankind will not retrocede. It will always go forward. It will always evolve materially and morally. And this is very important for all of us, because we understand in Spiritism that no, we won't go back to worlds that are primitive unless it's with some goals as beings that have already passed from primitive world. But at the same time, we are invited to reflect about what is a moral and material progressed world. So, later on, in the same text, the Spirit continues. After nearly a century, Earth's humanity has arrived at one of these growth periods and is in the middle of a transformative endeavor. That's why humankind is being shaken on all sides, caught up in a kind of fever, as if driven by the invisible world until it is settled on new foundations. However, seize it afterward will find many changes in its customs, its character, its laws, and its beliefs. In other words, in its entire social aspect. Dear brothers and sisters, when we get the revelation of a spirit like this, telling us what will happen in the future, and then when this message was written more than 160 years ago, and we see from the period that this message was published by Allan Kardec in the Genesis to the current days, huge changes in the customs of the human beings. Well, the technology, the material world, remember, during Allan Kardec's time, they used to go from one place to another by horses, by horse-pulled cars, or by walking. Today, we evolved so much in this. Today, if this pandemic that we live in has spread so quick as it has, is because we've changed a lot our customs, the way we interact with the world. Its character, I am sure that we can all see differences between the character of the times Allan Kardec was living. Just a little bit, so many wars, and came 2 big wars after that as well. If we see the characters that pass through and that we do not cultivate these characters anymore, we will see that it has changed a lot already. And the laws are probably the easiest one to see. If we see the laws of the 1800s, we now see, we don't see many countries approving slavery. Actually, the great majority is against the law. We see the woman participating in the society way more, maybe than 50 years ago. We are seeing important changes in how to accept the difference and how to live with them daily. Last Friday, yesterday. It was yesterday, Friday, don't recall right now, but it was Friday, sorry. The Prime Minister of Canada has banned assault arms among us. Isn't it a moral evolvement of the society? We realize that we don't need this type of massive killing guns among our society. No, we don't need this. If we are here to love, for sure this type of machines have no place in our society, and should have no place in wars, and should have no place in anywhere else. And we will see this evolvement, for sure. It will take time, perhaps, but it will happen. One thing that might have seemed strange to you, but which nevertheless is strictly true, is that the spirit world that surrounds you feels the repercussions of all the turmoil that disturbs the world of incarnates. I would even say that it plays an active part. This should come as no surprise to those who know that spirits make up part of humanity, that they come from humankind and must return to it. Consequently, this is natural that they would have an interest in the movement that occurs among human beings. You can be sure, therefore, that when a social revolution occurs on Earth, it also impacts the invisible world. All the good and evil passions become overexcited there, just as they do among you. An unspoken turbulence reigns among the spirits who still make part of your world and who await the time to return to it. The disturbances of incarnated and disincarnated sometimes, very frequently, actually, since every in the nature is linked together, are added the disturbances of physical elements. Then, for a while, there is a true widespread confusion that passes like a hurricane, but after which the sky returns to being serene, and humankind reconstituted upon new foundations and built with new ideas, enter a new phase on the road of progression. I believe that this specific paragraph, 160 years ago, was mainly describing what we are passing through exactly this time. It has been so many struggles during these 160 years, so many struggles. But at the same time, we're seeing right now it happening, this hurricane passing through Earth. But at the same time, as I just mentioned, the example of the ban of assault arms in Canada, it is starting to show these new foundations, these new ideals. And finally, the spirit conclude, it is in this period that has just opened that one will see Spiritism flourish and bring forth fruit. Therefore, it is for the future more for the present that you labor, you who help the world of Spiritism to reach hearts, to reach love, to reach consolation. This is why we are working right now, putting all our efforts in the future. Don't need to expect change day to night. It's not like this that happens. If the change is supposed to become sustainable, it has to come now to live in the future. But it was necessary for these labors to be prepared beforehand, because they trace out the pathways of regeneration through the unification and rationality of beliefs. Fortunate are they who take advantage of them as of today. They will spare themselves as many sorrows as they will gain in benefits. Dr. Barry, the spirit that brought this message. And Dr. Barry gave us a clue here, an important clue. What is our main goal through this process of regeneration? So we can measure if we are achieving this goal. When he says the pathways of regeneration through unification and rationality of beliefs, we understand that unification means live as brothers and sisters. Unify, do not divide. Borders are illusions that we created. We are brothers and sisters. Doesn't matter if I am here in Canada and you are in Japan. Doesn't matter if you are in Brazil and I am in Europe. Countries are ways to help the society to evolve, but never should be the motive of division. And rationality of belief, I have already made an exposition about this. We had a meeting, and it's a beautiful text that's in the book, Jesus in the Home. And in this book there is a chapter called The Victorious Faith, where the Christ, in certain moment, told Andrew, faith that does not help, does not instruct or comfort, is but a dark vanity of the heart. And this is the important thing. If the belief, if the faith is based out of the rock, is blind, as the Christ said, it does not instruct and it does not comfort. So let's work in our unification. Let's work to spread this rational belief that Spiritism is. This is an important point. And also, where can I gather more information about this transition? Or what is my part in this transition? Well, dear brothers and sisters, In the first book of the Spiritist codification, in the Spirit's book, in the part 4 of the book called The Future Joys and Sorrows, there is the last question of the Spirit's book. The question 1019, where Kardec asks the spirits a sublime question. Will the kingdom of the good ever be realized on earth? We will see the earth become a happy world. We will see the earth become a divine world. And the answer is beautiful. It's not full because it's a long answer, but at the same time, it is very, very important to highlight these topics that I brought. But I invite you, open your Spirit's book, read the full question, read the predecessor question, and so forth. The good will reign on earth when? Among the spirits who come to inhabit it, the good outnumber the evil ones. They will then enable love and justice, the source of goodness and of happiness, to reign on earth. I would like to highlight once again the word will, because this is inevitable. It's not maybe, will. And the other invitation, they will enable love and justice. All the injustice we see sometimes in the world, all the dislove, all the hatred will be slowly passing by, dissolving like smoke in the air, and we will see happiness through love and justice. It is through moral progress and the practice of the laws of God that humans will attract good spirits to the earth and repel the evil ones. However, the evil ones will only leave after humans have banished pride and selfishness from the planet. As I said, this might be a graph that for some will help, but as we evolve, the ones that are carried behind will be pushed forward. And if they don't, as also the important texts bring, they will be repelled from earth. All of you, men and women of faith and goodwill, work therefore to zeal and courage for the great work of regeneration, for you will reap 100-fold of grain of wheat that you have sown. Unfortunate are those who close their eyes to light, for they are preparing long centuries of darkness and sorrow for themselves. This is one of the few questions of the Spirit's book that the answer is signed by a spirit, one specific spirit. St. Louis. And once again, I would like to remind us, if I am a little part of the population of the world, the earth, and I am departing away from moral progress, I am not interested in the practice of the laws of God. It is an important invitation that we are living right now. Because every time that we become away from the divine laws, every time that we put ourselves away from the divine laws, we experiment pain, experiment sorrow. And my question is, until when? Until when we will choose to suffer? Until when we will deny love? Until when we will deny fraternity among us? Working on our moral progress in the practice of the divine laws is a mission of each one of us. The society is nothing more than a group of individuals. And if each individual do its part, the society evolves. If just one do its part, society also evolves. But the important thing is, as a chain, if one start doing good, it will motivate, it will be example for the next. And each one of us will follow the good and the happiness. For that, Jesus, about 2,000 years ago, have already given us the tip, the clue, the goal. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Ask yourself, how is your meekness? Ask yourself, how meekness have been taking part of your life. See meekness in the attitudes of other people. Motivate people in the practice of meekness. And for the end, I would like just to leave, for those who are not very familiar with the virtue of meekness. If we can find ways to develop meekness, I would strongly recommend you to start with important virtues, very important virtues, such as tolerance, such as patience, such as indulgence, and important to highlight about indulgence is that indulgence doesn't mean what the current world is being used, but from the dictionary, from the Oxford Dictionary, for example, we can find that indulgence means understanding that if I am not perfect and I can't do right all the time, recognize that my brother, my sister, my wife, my son, my daughter, my parents also are not perfect. Yet, we will reach the perfectness as we can. It won't be the absolute perfectness like God is, but it will be as we are capable to. And as we are capable to live love today, let's do the most efforts to live love. If we are capable to be fair, to practice justice, let's do all our effort to be just. And if we can be charitable, let's do all our efforts to work in the charity. Because, brothers and sisters, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Are you ready? Thank you very much for hearing the words today we had. Let's see if we have questions or participation online. Hello, Carol, Sonia, Vitor, welcome. Thank you for joining. Let's see on Facebook. Thank you, Renata. Then thank you, Jorginho. Thank you all for joining us. I wish you all the best. A very meek rest of weekend and a very meek week that's starting. I would like also to invite you to pray with me. Close your eyes. And once again, let the words from Jesus echo within your body, within your soul. Blessed are the meek, for them shall inherit the earth. Let meekness flow through your body, flow through your soul. Take this week for the exercises of tolerance, for the exercises of patience, for the exercises of indulgence. Dear Jesus, from your invitation, we are thankful. We're thankful for the opportunity of gathering together, even though through internet, but being collectively searching for this regenerative world, collective working for this regenerative world. Together we are stronger. Together we can feel all the spiritual world working toward you, Master Jesus. Please enlighten all our dear Calgarians suffering in this moment. Please enlighten all our friends all over the world, families struggling with the pandemic we live in. We kindly ask you, Father, come and consolate our hearts. Offer us opportunities to develop meekness and help our families in this struggling time to hear your words and together live as brothers, sisters for a better world. The world is changing, and yes, Jesus, yes, Father, we are ready. Let's go together. So be it. Well, thank you very much for joining us. It was very amusing to be here with you today. Unfortunately, you weren't as flesh and bones here, but I can feel your presence, and I can feel the love and all the gentleness coming through this time. Have a great day. Have a great week. Lots of peace.